Ice Nine Kills?
Not really.
Their early work was a little bit too scene for me, but when the Silver Scream came out, I think they really came into their own, commercially and artistically.
Hi. I know I'm a little late on this, but I wanted to talk about the album Welcome to Horrorwood by Ice Nine Kills. A few months ago, the popular metalcore band Ice Nine Kills released their newest album Welcome to Horrorwood, The Silver Scream 2. Back in 2018, the band put out their breakthrough album The Silver Scream. The Silver Scream was widely received as extremely well written and produced. Each song off of The Silver Scream was a tribute to a different popular horror movie. It was a bold move and it was heavily rewarded, establishing Ice Nine Kills as a leader and heavy hitter in the heavy music scene. This is not to say that they were not popular or getting traction before The Silver Scream, but they definitely exploded after the release of this album. And now, a few short years later, they put out Welcome to Horrorwood, The Silver Scream 2. Now, I'm gonna go into detail about what I personally believe to be good and bad about this album, but before I do, let me give a brief overview of what I will be talking about in greater detail throughout the video. Anyways, here's a quick summary of my opinions on Welcome to Horrorwood. This album is so well recorded and produced that I almost can't believe it. It is so clean and polished that it kind of blows me away. The vocals are incredibly impressive and in every way a step above and beyond what they were in The Silver Scream. The guitar absolutely slaps, using both breakdowns and the occasional solo to melt the face. Each instrument is placed so well in the mix, and as far as the sound goes, I think this album is amazing. However, I have some pretty big criticisms of this album too. And it may offend people who consider themselves huge Ice Nine Kills fans. I hope you can come to understand my criticisms and see where I'm coming from. I think the biggest way I can sum up my thoughts on this album are the words, a waste of opportunity. The direction seems a little hollow and pretty uninteresting. Now, before you dislike the video and leave me hate comments, let me explain myself. I'm a pretty big horror movie fan. I've seen a lot of horror movies. I am also pretty well acquainted with the horror movie fan scene, and I know that there's a large variety of horror movie lovers. Knowing this, it's easy to see why Ice Nine Kills wanted to both capitalize on the market while also making a product that they are obviously passionate about. I'm not going to pretend that making songs based on horror movies is just some soulless cash grab. It definitely is a great idea monetarily, but you can really tell that the members of Ice Nine Kills really enjoy horror movies and they love making art that reflects and supports that scene. And that's really great for them. I think that most of their songs do movies justice and are great additions to the horror community. But that being said, I can't help but feel that this has been done before. Oh yeah, they did it. They already did this. They gave us The Silver Scream, which was a huge hit and a great album. It had absolute bangers like Stabbing in the Dark, The Jig Is Up, and my personal favorite, Enjoy Your Slay. Obviously they couldn't cover every single horror movie within one album, but I think that that was fine. They don't need to make a song for every horror movie. They made a great album that did a really good job at getting an interesting grab bag of different types of horror movies. It covered slashers, body horror, psychological horror, comedy horror, and monster movies. And it wasn't a short album either. It had 13 tracks, and they later released an extended version in 2019 with 19 tracks. So why did they feel they needed to do the exact same thing with the next album? They were riding a high of doing something unique and brilliant, and then instead of coming up with something else new and interesting, they just did it again. They did the same exact album all over again with different movies. Am I gonna sit here and act like I have any better ideas? No. But I am not a popular artist who was previously praised for being innovative and pushing the creative boundaries. I am also not going to pretend like this wasn't a great move for them. I mean, Welcome to Horrorwood is performing well. The band is growing its audience. But if they aren't careful, they may never come up with anything interesting ever again. Do they plan to just keep releasing horror movie albums over and over until they're done making music? That sounds kind of boring, and I can't imagine the hype lasting. Maybe I'm wrong. They are thriving. But I do know that artists who don't change their music begin to die a slow, boring death, where they put out album after album that can't outperform the one they did 10 years ago. I could name some bands as examples, but that might be for another video. So let's take a step back. They made The Silver Scream 1, and then The Silver Scream 2. They quite literally made a sequel. I can't be the only one who recognizes that sequels are usually far less interesting than the original. This is not always the case. I think that Shrek 2 is by far the best Shrek. No one can change my mind about that. And don't even get me started on 22 Jump Street. That movie was a big chef's kiss. It's perfect. But for the most part, sequels are put out to capitalize on the success of the original, and will usually bring in some money, but will not typically bring in the excitement of the first movie. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to the actual songs of the album. Like I mentioned before, sequels are not always bad, and to be honest, some of the songs are really good. I'm not here to tell you that the album is bad. It's pretty good. My point is that it isn't as interesting. Some of the songs that I actually really like off this album are The Shower Scene, which is about the movie Psycho, Funeral Derangements, which is about the movie Pet Sematary, and Farewell to Flesh, which is about the movie Candyman. Part of the reason I like these songs might be due to the fact that I like the movies they're based on, but as we'll see in a minute, there are songs on Welcome to Horrorwood that are about movies I really enjoy, but I don't like the song. The album starts with Opening Night, which I actually think is really cool. It's not a song, but a voice recording of a man telling us that the songs were unearthed by the homicide unit that is currently tracking down the lead singer of Ice Nine Kills because they believe he's responsible for killing his fiancée.
The 13 tracks which you were about to hear were long ago hidden away, deemed too grotesque for public consumption by the American recording industry.
I think that that's a really fun premise, and got me really excited to hear the rest. Track 2 is Welcome to Horrorwood, which is another interesting song that basically welcomes the audience and tells them to strap in because the songs are going to be crazy, fun, and cool. So far, we're off to a great start. Next, we have our first song that's based on a movie, which is A Rash Decision. This song is based off of Cabin Fever, one of the 2 movies on this list directed by Eli Roth.
Time stands still, contamination's covering, and now our skin is crawling. Is it a crime to kill?
The song is okay in my opinion. It does what it's expected to do. Then we have Assault and Batteries. This is a song based off of Child's Play. This is one of the more polished tracks, but it's not my favorite just because it focuses a lot on the personality of Chucky, which I don't find all that interesting. This is more of a complaint about Child's Play than the song, but I think the character of Chucky seems a little one-dimensional and lame. He's just a jerk who hates women and kids.
You won't ever grow up, you won't make it past it, 'cause this is what Dr. Money will make you his bitch. You won't ever grow up, he'll toy with you till you die, to prove that evil comes in every size.
That being said, Child's Play does have some redeeming qualities. The premise of a serial killer spending time with your kid while you're completely oblivious is pretty terrifying. After that, we have The Shower Scene, which I mentioned before is one of my favorites. I actually find the focus on Norman Bates' personality in the song really fun, whereas in Assault and Batteries, I had the opposite opinion. That's probably just because I think the character of Norman Bates is way more interesting than Chucky. Norman's obsession of women who he infatuates over to the point of murdering them and then blacking out and blaming it all on his mother is such a good concept.
I can't escape the shower scene.
Funeral Derangements is a brutal song that really puts you in the place of the characters in Pet Sematary. The desperation of a parent who would do anything to bring back their dead child. It hits on a nerve that we pretty much all have and feel. I think that the song captures that desperation really well. Rainy Day is kind of where the album lost me. It's about Resident Evil, and I just didn't think the song was all that good, which is strange because they released it as a single. Not a decision that I would have made, but again, I'm not a big successful musician, so what do I know? Hip to Be Scared is a song about American Psycho. It was the first single they put out to promote Welcome to Horrorwood, and I can see why. It's very catchy and had a different feel than the previous Ice Nine Kills songs.
But it's time to say goodbye. So to hell with good intentions. So to hell is where I'll go.
Take Your Pick is about the movie My Bloody Valentine. It's brutal for the sake of being brutal, which I appreciate, but it still wasn't really my favorite. Slashers in general are not my favorite type of horror movie, so that's an easy way to lose me. But that's no excuse for Ice Nine Kills, because I loved the songs they wrote about slashers in Silver Scream. Now, finally, we've made it to my least favorite song on the album, and the reason I decided to make this video in the first place. The Box is about the movie franchise Hellraiser. Now, I haven't seen every Hellraiser film, but I have seen enough to understand it. And I really enjoyed the first Hellraiser. Actually, it's the only Hellraiser I enjoyed. The second one was okay, and from there it got real bad real fast. Why was this? Well, I have the answer, because I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. The original Hellraiser was a movie about a family that was breaking from infidelity. The mother had a secret affair with her husband's brother. After the brother's strange death, the mother learns that she can bring him back to life by bringing men home and killing them, allowing the zombie corpse of her dead lover to eat their remains and gain strength off their flesh. This is Plot A. Plot B is about a group of evil beings called Cenobites, who are obsessed with physical pleasure. They've gone so far into their own deviancies that they can no longer tell the difference between pleasure and pain. They want to share this knowledge of torture and pleasure/pain with others. The main Cenobite featured is named Pinhead, and he's a pretty scary looking demon guy, but he is not what the movie is truly about. He is the background. The Cenobites are portrayed as a force of nature, an unstoppable force that must be worked around. The original Hellraiser was good because it focused on the lust, greed, and selfishness that was destroying a family. The rest of the Hellraiser movies got worse and worse because they began focusing solely on the Cenobites, mainly Pinhead. They made Pinhead the main character. Why did they do this? Because it's a quick way to make money. Even though Pinhead was not the main character of Hellraiser, he was the most iconic and recognizable character. So what did they do? They made the movies focus on him and his image so that they can make his face marketable and sell. Like I said, this is a quick cash grab, but it isn't a sustainable one, and it doesn't make for good movies. Let's bring this back to Ice Nine Kills though. Why did I share all of that? Well, it's simple. Ice Nine Kills used their Hellraiser song to focus only on Pinhead.
Oh, hail the priest of hell, master of sin. Louder than needles and pins, 'cause the puzzle's in pieces again.
They didn't really make any references to the actual plot of the movie and instead made it about a scary demon man. That's fine if you want to make a song about Pinhead, but it's not a song about Hellraiser. It's a song about the background of the movie that placed the main characters in life or death situations, but it completely cuts out anything interesting about it. They used their sequel album to do the thing that makes sequels bad. They focused on the iconic faces instead of making an actually good story. I'm just gonna blow through the next few songs. We have Fly, which is about the movie The Fly, obviously. It's fine, not anything special.
Just saying, I won't deny the way time flies when we're so close to the end.
Next we have Worst Vacation, which is about the movie Hostel, the other Eli Roth film in this list. It's kind of hokey, but that's what I would expect from a song about Hostel. Then we have Ex Mortis. This song perfectly encapsulates the original Evil Dead and gives some really good impressions of Bruce Campbell's character Ash. This is another side note, but I actually really love the 2013 remake of Evil Dead. A lot of people may think that it didn't do the original justice and that it was just a body horror bloodfest, and it kind of was that, but you have to take that movie as its own thing. It really shouldn't be compared to the original because the original is weird and goofy and odd, and the remake is dark, gritty, and nothing like the original. But I think that it draws on some great comparisons that the grip addiction can have on a person and being possessed by a demon. It focuses on a character who is going through a brutal detox with her friends in an old family cabin when she is suddenly faced with a force that wants to take over her mind and destroy her body. I don't know, I think that it's really interesting.
Can you hear the evil dead singing? A cold wind blows as the angels cry. The living will descend and the dead will rise from way below, way below, way below.
The final song is Farewell to Flesh, and it's about the movie The Candyman. I've always loved the legend of Candyman, and the movies are really fun, so I felt like the song was a great choice to end on, and it was really emotionally charged. It was also really brilliant to use the bee riff that people use as a way to practice scales in a song about a vengeful, hook-handed ghost covered in a swarm of bees.
A legend has begun. Left
And that's it. That's the whole album. To recap my thoughts, I think that the songs are well written and the production value was great. The songs are fun, but I still can't help but think that it was a waste of potential to piggyback off the previous album. I hope that Ice Nine Kills continues to put out music and continues to grow and thrive. If you liked this video, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me. I put a lot of time and effort into making videos like this one. Thank you.